Shalom, everyone. This is Sophia, the American Maryam, and I just wanted to give you all an update on the research and the information that has been coming up. So y'all can be prepared for the next few videos that I'm going to post. What the mother has given to us is a method which is scientific in nature for understanding how what's going to happen to us, when it's going to happen, how we can navigate it, how we're already prepared for it, and what information and what knowledge and what skills we should be accumulating during the year so that when certain issues and things come up, we're not out here floundering. And so this will help to rebalance the energy on this planet, because there is a time for good and a time for bad, a time to sow, a time to reap, a time to laugh, a time to cry. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to cry, but it doesn't mean that you're going to always cry. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to laugh, but it doesn't mean that you have to always be laughing. It's about bringing balance and experiencing the true heartbeat of this planet, and for our people to stop running away from what feels uncomfortable, and trying to avoid what feels uncomfortable. We are all subject to what feels uncomfortable and what things that we will perceive as bad things happening to us. However, we do not have to be stuck in that energy. What these people have done to us is they have ripped us away from our understanding of how things work and divine timing. There are many people who have questioned my incessant focus on timing, timelines, those types of things. But I just knew that there had to be a way to track when certain energies were going to come your way and be able to penetrate, the bubble you have around you, your spiritual team, because it would be a time for that, a time for testing. If you're in school, there may be pop quizzes, right? But they don't take most of your grade. Most of your grade comes from scheduled tests. You have a midterm and you have a final. And I always felt like we should know when the midterms are coming and when the final is coming. And there is a way to know this. And it's not some woo-woo, go to somebody, stare at a crystal ball, try and figure out what timing the ancestors are working on versus the angels versus this. All of those things are helpful to understand, but there is a timing that is specifically tied to us. Because if you can know, if the Most High knows the end from the beginning, that means the whole game is laid out. And yes, there's choices, like the Choose Your Own Adventure series, but in the end, pretty much as long as you don't die somewhere along the way, you're going to get to the same solution. That's how the Choose Your Own Adventure books work. As long as you don't make a bad decision and you die along the way and there's no way to revive you, everybody gets to the same ending. The story has the same beginning and the same ending. And you just have to navigate through that thing with your different choices to get to the end. And that is what I have been on the search for. And the mother has revealed that thing. And nobody can ever look at their life the same way, because every year you can know what trials you're going to have to endure, when you're going to have to endure them, how long basically it's going to be, except for the stuff that comes up that's a little bit, the Most High is a jovial guy. He likes to play jokes and do things because, he thinks it's funny. And I happen to think some of these things are not funny, but the Most High believes they are. So, who am I to challenge that guy? So, this is nothing short of revolutionary. Um, all I'm doing is presenting the information. Um, the mother gave it to me because I was seeking the answers. And so I've given everybody the information. You can figure out how to do this on your own. I'm not saying you have to come to me or anything like that. I'm not saying that, I'm going to, I'm not saying that I'm going to do personal readings for free on this information because it's very overwhelming to be able to look at somebody's chart and then turn that into a reading that you can think about and really apply to your life and see how these things all fit together. It's pretty unbelievable, actually. To be honest, I'm still like in shock. Shock is the best word that I can use because this is not something I ever anticipated. Um, Being able to use a scientific approach to astrology and tarot in a way that nobody else, I've never seen anything like this before. So, I'm going to put the videos out where I've done a sample reading on an anonymous person, and you will be able to see the thought process going into it. You will be able to figure out how I use the chart from the reading. I don't spell it out in precise terms, but you can't not look at the reading and understand what's going on if you study the chart. You can ask the Holy Spirit; they'll reveal it to you how to use that thing like a dial and dial right into what's going on. Um, it's very very overwhelming emotionally. Um, it's very very overwhelming emotionally. That's really the best way that I can put it. I'm really really flabbergasted, and I'm honored that the Most High and the Mother chose me to take this very seriously to present so that people can have a way of understanding what's going on, not just with an astrology chart with a wheel that doesn't make any sense, but um, wow, but literally with pictures that you can go and research on your own and come to your own sort of um, conclusions on how things are going to work. And it's amazing how they literally took this information, separated each piece out into a separate method of interpretation, and you really have to be a seeker to put it back together in a way that makes any sense. And so I understand why this has been such elusive information that I'm sure is in one of those books, because it is the kind of information that it could change everything. It could change the way you look at everything. It changes the way that you plan. Like, for example, if you know that you're going to have, you know, 10 bad weeks followed by 30 or 40 great weeks, are you going to worry about the 10 bad weeks, or are you just going to power through it till you get to the 40 weeks that are going to be great? I mean, that's how this thing works. That's how it is. It gives you hope that the energy, your fortune is going to change for you, and when it's going to change, and how it's going to change, how you're going to be able to energetically feel that it's changed, and identify what is actually going on for you. This is a personal thing. No two charts are alike anyway, but this is highly personalized. This is highly specialized. This helps to identify shadow work that needs to be done, things that you may or may not know about. If you have a lot of ancestral karma that you have to work out, if you've got a blank slate and you just do what you do freely, all of that stuff is in this chart, especially when it's paired with the pictures. And so you can see why they have demonized astrology, demonized tarot, demonized everything, because if they allowed us to have this sooner, these people wouldn't have a system. We would own their system, because we would know when to do this, when not to do that, when things were going to work, when things were not going to work. And so I'm hoping that with the readings, you will be able to see how these things come together. So this science is called AstroTarotGraphy. That is the word that the Spirit gave me for that. I've never heard anyone use this word. It is a word that is copywritten. It's my word. So if you see people like now all of a sudden trying to throw their cards over top of astrology, that's not what that is. It's a very highly specialized science that is not easily replicated without the Holy Spirit. That's the long and the short of it. And so I'm not sure how much I'm going to charge for these readings. I'm thinking about it because in some ways they're not that difficult energetically, but in other ways they are energetically difficult, because if you have difficult placements, it's going to be really, really difficult for me to experience as I'm walking you through these pictures. And so, like with the tarot readings, you don't necessarily know if the person has experienced these things or not. But with these readings, you know that they have experienced these things. And it's really, really, really difficult. It's really, really difficult to have to tell people, things that I know that they don't want to hear. Then followed by things that I know that they do want to hear, so that's why it's like I'm still rolling it around. For right now, I do suggest, before I can even really get into these, if you have not gotten if you don't have your birth chart, and you're not intimately aware, understand your basic birth chart, that is definitely a prerequisite for this. If you haven't done a whole house tarot reading, I highly suggest that. I do have my offer up to do astrology, the Urim and Thummim readings, with just the doing your whole house reading, your whole house wheel reading, and then a whole house tarot reading. I think these things are important prerequisites before you get into this kind of information. You need to have a baseline of even the celestial readings. Like, you need to have a baseline understanding of what all of these things mean and how they can work together before you get into this kind of stuff, because it's very, very deep. It's very, very serious, and it's your life. And you can believe it, you can ignore it, you can whatever it, but once you know it, you're responsible for it. And that's what I'm most concerned about. You can no longer act like you don't know, no one told you this and that. No, you're completely responsible for what you know. And that's why I'm, cautioning people about being, super, enthusiastic to get this reading, because once you know, you're responsible, which means that if you deliberately do things, harness this energy to, hurt people or anything like this because it's a good period for you, you're responsible for that. And so I know people know what that means, but I don't think they know what it really means to be responsible for that much information about yourself. And so I do, I am, I'm just rolling it around right now because it's really an intense amount of information. And, but I know this is what we need. This is what I asked for. I wanted to know for myself. And, now that I do know for myself, it's going to be very difficult to let myself slide on certain things that I know that I'm not supposed to be doing or that I need to do and I'm not. And that's very humbling because you can really time, the things you need to be doing for yourself personally when good times for you are for you personally. And the other thing is like you really have to have a relationship with your spiritual team because there's points in your chart where you have to lean on them. It's just going to be required. And if you haven't, burned some ancestor money, done your karma cleanse, all of these things are very important prerequisites because, especially for the roots of the tree reading, if you haven't dealt with your karma, you'll never get to the fruits of the tree. It's not possible. You have to deal with your karma. You have to deal with your ancestors because you're holding them. You're the placeholder. You are the Phi. You are the Phi. Like you are the placeholder. And so if you haven't dealt with your ancestral stuff, it's just gonna keep coming back up. So you'll never get to the fruits of the tree because you're gonna keep being stuck in the roots. And that's very, very scary for me because I know that there's people who are just going to be stuck in the roots and they're going to, they're going to be looking at me like, I didn't have this experience that you said I was going to have or whatever. And all I'm going to be able to say to them is that you're stuck in the roots. There's nothing I can do about that. This is all predicated on you taking the information and applying it and doing something with it. And so I am still offering the North and South Node readings. I would definitely say that is a prerequisite because the whole tree of life, your entire tree of life is predicated on your North and your South Node. Those themes come up for you all the time. Every single year, you will have to deal with the themes of your North and your South Node. And like for me, like I told y'all, my North Node is the Hierophant, and my South Node is the Five of Swords. And so all throughout the year, always the energy that comes up for me is walking and being this philosopher and, leading people down the proper way spiritually, and then turning around and having to, forgive people, whether they knowingly do me wrong or unknowingly do me wrong. Forgive them and move forward and treat them, exactly how they treat me every time I come into contact with them. It's very, these things will always come up for you. I mean, over and over and over again. And so every year, every year before your birthday, about a month out, you're going to be dealing with your North Node energy. And then for about a month after your birthday, you'll be dealing with your South Node energy. Every single year. You start with your North Node energy, and then you go into your South Node energy. Every single year. Every single year. And so if you don't have your North and your South Node energy mastered, you can forget it. You can literally forget it. Matter of fact, if you only master your North Node and your South Node energy, you can successfully navigate through every single year. That's how important your North Node and your South Node are. Everything else is like, important, but not that important. But if you don't master your North Node and your South Node energy, that's what's going to hit you every single year. Every single year, you're going to be, and I could probably do this to the month, man. This is just like crazy. This is really crazy. And so I'm excited for you all to see the videos. They're going to be posted, but I wanted to do this introduction so that you know what you're looking at, you know why you're looking at it, you understand what the point of this is. This goes along with the other information. This is like, building on a whole system. This is not like one little thing and then you're kind of like done. No, this is like once you know this, you're responsible. And I have to tell you that it's very important for people to understand. Once you know these things about yourself, you are responsible for them. You cannot put them off on someone else. Once I knew that I was the Ameru Khan Mariam, I can't put that on somebody else. Nobody else is going to Ameru Khan Mariam it like me. That's what it is. That's what it is, unfortunately, and fortunately for myself. For everybody, it's different. Even for people who are just like me, it's different because we all have different experiences and other placements that make things different. So literally no two people are the same. No two people have the same birth chart. They just don't. And so I implore people, your birth chart is like your fingerprint. Your birth chart is your contract. I forgot to say that. Your birth chart is your contract. And if you want to know what your contract is, you need to understand your birth chart. And this is before we get into AstroCartography, and all of that stuff. Your birth chart, as it stands, is your contract. Make sure you have a good understanding of your contract before you engage in any of these higher level readings, because they will not make sense. And so I do offer birth chart readings, birth chart readings, whole house tarot readings, all of the basic stuff. This thing has been layered in so that you can start with one product and work your way up. I got the North Node, South Node readings. I got the Celestial readings. If you can't find it on my website, it's not letting you check out or something weird, send me an email because you can Cash at me or Zelle. You can also get all of this information yourself. I put out all the information. I did not hold any information back. Especially once you see the charts, you can study it and you'll figure out exactly what I did. It's all public. This is not private information. What's private is the people's information that's used. That's very private information. I've done my best to keep that private, but you could figure it out by looking at the charts and looking at the readings. Because someone could use this information to destiny swap with somebody else. It's very, very treacherous what they can do with your birth chart. Because if they know you're going to be experiencing this trauma, or this is the trauma that triggers you, like for me, somebody must have known that challenging me philosophically on my religion was always going to be a trigger for me, because I have the Hierophant energy, and not just me, a lot of people in my age group in the 18 months that I was born, because we all have this Hierophant energy as our North Node. And so, that's how they knew all these indigos were coming, because, we have this Hierophant as our North Node. That's really what an indigo is, the ones who have the Hierophant as their North Node. So you can always trigger somebody if you know where their North Node is. You can trigger them. So it's very, it's the information is like that. It's very serious. And that's why you notice I'm even when you get a chart from me, these charts will not have names on them. They're going to be very, very generic, because I don't want people to, I don't want this information to be intercepted and misused in the way that I know they've been misusing it all of this time. Just, it's real crazy. It's real crazy. So I'm not afraid to post this information. I'm not afraid to share it. I'm just saying this is very, very serious. And now it's public, so there's no reason to think that anybody cannot draw these conclusions on their own. And so I hope that you all find this helpful. Of course, if you are interested in any of my services, just let me know. Um, Thank you to everyone who supports me and supports my channel. Um, I really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, unlike, unsubscribe, unshare, whatever. Um, like the girl says in her readings, I support you in whatever energy you bring because we are under judgment, and I support you in whatever energy you bring, except for fear. Don't bring that fear my way because we ain't doing that. We're on high vibration over here, and we're experiencing our low vibrations, but we're popping right back up to the high vibrations. That's how we carrying it over here. So I hope you all have a great day, and we will talk with you in the next video. Shalom.